Hi, my name is RobynEngelson, and I am President and CEO of Impact.U, and I'm about to be on the Online Prosperity Show. Today, you're going to learn how to change your mindset as a model of positive change and thrive in life in 90 days or less.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. And I don't say that lightly, because today we've got a hip-hop dancer in the house. Now, Robyn, how are you doing today?
I am absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Prosper. So happy to be here.
Great stuff. I was actually perfecting my dance moves, but then you told us you're not going to dance, so I just got
to. You know, it's kind of hard for me to dance, and I need to be on the floor. Like the dance floor is just this wide open space of freedom, and when you're at your desk, you really got to stand up. You can make it work. So because movement is medicine, so just stay tuned.
I love that. And, you know, from what you just say, I can just imagine the dance floor being your canvas and you being the paintbrush, and the way you move is actually creating that art form. And I can't wait to jump into all of this with you. Now, for those that are tuning in right now, of course, I'm fanboying over Robyn because she's been on a journey that's as dynamic as a hip hop dance routine. It's been full of rhythm, resilience, and unexpected moves. And she is the president of Impact.U, and also she comes in as a former corporate consultant who actually swapped boardroom meetings for dance studios and also wellness coaching. That's the reason why we're talking about dancing and all the dance moves that she was practicing earlier on. So yeah, she actually calls herself a corporate dropout that turned into a life coach, wellness specialist, nutrition educator, and also a lifestyle transformer. And her mission is to help women regain energy without spending hours at the doctor's office. And here's a fun fact. We've already established how she is always, perfecting her hip hop moves. I think today is going to be a fun, ride, learning a little bit about, her journey and what led her to actually get started on this journey. Now, Robyn, I could go on and on, but usually hip hop songs are like 3 or 4 minutes long, right? And then they only have like a bit of an intro, so we might run out of songs before we.
But the chorus in the middle, that's the meat and potatoes. That's like the sweet slice of the pie, and that's where the good action happens.
Absolutely. But there's one thing that I've always noticed, Robyn, about hip hop music. Have you ever noticed that the hip hop artists always tell you where they're from or what city they're from, as if the tape is going to get lost in the noise? Well, you could start off by maybe giving a shout out to your city.
I sure will share where I'm from. I'm not going to rap it because I can't. But although I have been rapping lately with my son, who thinks I'm ridiculous, but that's okay. We're having fun and laughing. So originally, I live in the States, and originally I'm from Rhode Island, the smallest state in the U.S. And then I made my way down to Virginia, right outside DC, and now I'm down in Florida. So I've made it all the way down the East Coast. And I much prefer it down in the South because that's where the sun shines 365. And one of the many reasons why my family and I moved down here to Florida.
Absolutely. And I like it, that each member of like a hip hop band, they usually have like gang signs or, all those, And see, that's the reason why I became a marketer, Robyn, because I don't even know what to do with my hands. All right. So
it's just a lot of energy going on. It's like they say, I love that, right? Because I do have a marketing background and I do talk with my hands. And when I'm presenting, there's just so much energy, and it's really boring, I think, if you're down here and you're not moving your hands, because part of your body, like the movement, is the energy. So I love it, Prosper. I love it.
Absolutely. But obviously, tell us a little bit about your journey. You left perfectly good career, as a corporate consultant, and you turned yourself into a wellness specialist. What prompted this significant career change?
Yeah, so, that's a great question. And a lot of times career changes don't happen because we want them to. They kind of happen by accident or because of life trauma that happens to us, right? So what happened to me was life trauma. I was an advertising consultant, marketing consulting, top sales producer, big income, great awards, all of that. And I loved it. And I was really good at it, and I still am. But what happened to me was that I was trying to get pregnant with my second child, and I couldn't. And there was reasons for it. No one could figure it out. And I went to an infertility specialist. I got tons of blood work done, and I ended up with an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's. Hashimoto's is a thyroid autoimmune disease. It's not life-threatening, but it is life-changing. And, I went in for blood work for something else and came out with an autoimmune disease and some other health issues. After I got diagnosed, I got sicker and sicker and sicker. The doctors wouldn't listen to me. They kept giving me medicine after medicine after medicine, and my blood work started to get better, but my health started to decline rapidly. I had to quit my 6+ figure income job because I couldn't get out of bed. I was sleeping 10 to 12 hours a night. My hair was falling out. My nails were falling off. My bones were brittle. I couldn't work out. I couldn't even walk and get out of bed. I had a 3.5-year-old that I couldn't even take care of. Brain fog. We would drive into the grocery store, end up at Target or Walmart or wherever, and not where we were supposed to be. Had no idea how I got there. I would be in front of somebody and completely forget their name, even if I've known them for years. I mean, it was debilitating. And it wasn't until I figured out how to solve my problem on my own and stop listening to the doctors who were popping me pills, which was making me worse and worse and worse. And what happened was that I figured out I was allergic to the medication that they prescribe typically for my autoimmune disease, which is called Synthroid, because they put fillers in it. And they still prescribe it and they still manufacture it. But my body was rejecting it because I couldn't tolerate it. And my body also wasn't, there's 4 parts to your thyroid, and one of them is T3. And my body wasn't producing T3. And so I was having an adverse effect to the medication. So you know what? I said, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And so I figured out my nutrition, my fitness, my mindset, and my accountability for my autoimmune disease. Now, mind you, I was always an athlete. I was always eating healthy. I thought my mindset was right, and I always had accountability. But I didn't have what I needed to survive and thrive with autoimmunity, right? So I figured out my nutrition. I started eating gluten-free. I started going dairy-free. I started eating 3 smaller meals a day and snacks in between. I started drinking more water, like just little things, Prosper, that really made a huge difference. And then I started lifting weights. I started lifting heavy. I don't know if I can say this, heavy shit. So I started, and I just actually loved, like, it made me feel so good and strong and powerful again. And you need to lift heavy in order to maintain your bone density as you get older, and especially with autoimmunity. You can't be a cardio junkie like I used to be, because it raises your cortisol, which is your stress level, which spikes your insulin, which spikes everything, and you feel like crap. And I retrained my mindset as a model of positive change to release my past trauma that was affecting who I was and how I was healing, or lack of healing, with my autoimmune disease. And then I found accountability with people and mentors that had what I wanted, that were 1 or 2 steps ahead of me. And I said, you know what, if they can do it, so can I. And so what happened, Prosper, is that I never went back to advertising and marketing, literally as a consultant, because people started noticing a change. Listen, when you don't feel good, you don't want to be outside, you don't want to go out with your friends, you don't want to be social, nothing. You're not on social media. And when you start to feel good, you're outside again. You're going out to dinner with your friends. You were on social media. So a few people started asking me, friends and neighbors, what are you doing? You look amazing. You feel amazing. You're just glowing. And I said, I don't know. I changed my nutrition. I work out differently. I have accountability. I changed my mindset. Do you want me to see if I could help you? And so I started helping a few people on the side, and they got results within 3 days. And then we went a little further, and they got more results in 30 days. And I realized the magic was in 90 days. And so what happened was my coaching business started. And I went strictly into nutrition and fitness training with clients. And then it evolved into life coaching because I realized the only way that someone's going to change their nutrition and fitness for their life is through their mind. Right here, in your mind, up here. That's the only way. And I became their accountability. I became that person that gave them hope, that allowed them to believe they can do the work and that they can thrive in life. And here I am, 13 years later, doing what I love.
Congratulations. I mean, obviously, so many people would have just been curling in a fetal position. Woe is me, because I've been diagnosed with this autoimmune. Let me just heal. Let me get well. But you went on and wanted to help other people. But Robyn, let me just take you back a little bit. I mean, you did mention advertising, and I mean, I do have a bit of experience in that industry, and just to know what sort of life people end up living in that sort of industry. What was your sort of day-to-day activities that you can just maybe give us a glimpse into what your work like? Yeah.
Absolutely. And I loved what I did, and I still love it, right? So what I did day to day, it was a prospecting, right? Finding people that wanted to buy what I was selling for my clients, right? So really reaching out to different markets and doing the market analysis, doing the market research, and then calling on these people to see, if what my client had is what they needed or wanted, or maybe they didn't know, so I could share with them with that, right? It was following up with current clients that were advertising with my client, right? And so I basically ran an in-house ad agency for my client. So I had people that reported to me. We had a number that we had to reach, and if we didn't reach it, they got cut. And I was responsible for that. So it's cutthroat, right? There's a lot of stress that goes with sales and advertising, but there's also a lot of fun. It's a certain type of person that does it, meaning that you got to be ambitious, you got to be courageous, you got to be cutthroat, you got to be competitive like none other. Like you literally got to want it like no one else. And when you have that, you're unstoppable. But there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, a lot of times that you don't see with the lead generation. I created a whole database for my client, so that, which is key in the advertising sales world, right? Because you have to know who you're talking to, what you said last time with all your notes, right? Where they're at in the pipeline and how to move them to the next level in the pipeline, and then making the sale, right? So it's prospecting, following up with your current clients, and seeing if you can upsell them or just keep them happy, right? Or both, and then making the sale to new clients, and then processing everything. So once the sale was made, it was, here's the deadline for your artwork. Here's your invoice. All the different pieces that come together, and when I'll be in contact with you again. And I would call it a funnel. Back then, we didn't really call it a funnel, but it's really who do you need to contact for what, and how can I continue to keep you happy and make you feel good about what you're doing, so you get the ROI, return on investment, with your advertisement.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for taking us through that, because what that paints a picture is an environment that really needs steady nerves, that really needs balanced hormones, and that really needs somebody who's really clued on. And as you have said, this is something that, not a whole lot of people would be able to do this. So pretty much after the diagnostic, you couldn't go back to that, could you?
No, I couldn't really do anything, to be honest. Never mind going back to sales, which is, high stress, cutthroat, remembering so many things that happened throughout the day. I mean, like what you just said, walking people through what I did for it in a day, I couldn't even get out of bed. I mean, after I got diagnosed, never mind like sitting up at a computer, talking to people, functioning, I call it, like being able to function. So yeah, there's no way. I mean, and it wasn't what I expected. So I just want the listeners to understand too, sometimes you go through life and unexpected things happen, but on the other side of that, there's so much joy, and there's so much passion, and there's so much fun. You just got to get through the messy stuff.
No, absolutely. And thank you so much for clarifying that, because so many people would just think, oh, after the baby was born, you could go back to that. But the fact that you wanted to go to a grocery store and ended up at Target, or you couldn't remember the person you're talking to. Imagine having to deal with a high stress environment like that really needed you to be on top of everything. But most people would have just listened to their doctor, Robyn. I mean,
would have.
Anybody in their sort of space, they would have just, listen, because they would have wanted to get well and things of that nature. Where were you getting the confidence to want to stand out on your own? Because so many people would be questioning that too.
That's a great question. And so many people suffer their entire life and just accept status quo. I'm an outlier. I'm a rebel. And I've never in my life with anything stood for status quo. I'm always the one questioning why. 5 levels deep. Why? Okay, well, why? Okay, well, why? Right? And I've always been a confident person. And then especially when it comes to my health and my well-being that affects my child, no one's gonna, you can't stop me from finding the solution. Right? And so talking to the doctors, telling them, something's wrong, and questioning them. And I went to 5 doctors before I found the doctor that could help me. 5 doctors in 2.5 years. And they all told me that I was fine. Until one doctor said, well, maybe we should try something a little different. And I said, okay, maybe we're onto something. And then I was like, but I'm still not feeling well. So finally, after 5 doctors, the 6th doctor, I discovered functional medicine, which is not traditional medicine. And I found a doctor that had Hashimoto's, and that was the key. She actually had what I had, so she knew what I was going through. And she's the one that helped me figure out that I wasn't producing T3 and I was allergic to the medication. So I needed a compounded medication. So just the reason I share this is because it's not traditional medicine, but you as a whole complete person are not traditional. So if something doesn't feel right, trust your gut. Like there's a reason why you feel sick or scared or nauseous. Your stomach kind of gets like butterfly-ish, sometimes in certain situations, because you know that it's not right, or you know that the right thing is not what's happening, however you want to look at it, right? It's the same thing. And so just trust your gut and keep asking questions. And don't settle for feeling like crap every day. It's not worth it. I always share, you were never put on this earth just to wake up, go to work, pay bills, and die. That's not your life, right? You deserve more. You deserve better.
I don't know about you, Robyn, but I'm working right now, so please don't take away the fun that I'm enjoying.
This is fun. No, this is joy. This is fun. This is what I'm saying, though, right? But my comment to clarify is that if you didn't feel good or had fun doing what you're doing, Prosper, why would you continue to do it? It's like punching in and punching out. Right? Why? I don't understand that. I don't get that. That's who I am. That's why I am where I am in life. But not everybody is willing to do that. And that's okay. Right? That's what makes the world go round.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, because I was about to start questioning my own existence here, Robyn.
No, not at all.
The system that you developed, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You talking nutrition, you talking fitness, mindset and accountability. First of all, maybe you can let us know how these components actually work together in order to have people get a happy existence. But now my question along, the journey is, why aren't doctors prescribing this as well? If you care to maybe elaborate on it.
Because they don't get paid on it. It's very simple. They don't get paid on it. And the pharmaceutical companies don't get paid on it. It's very simple. And I'm not neglecting or putting down traditional doctors, because they're amazing. And they have helped me in many ways. But if you're looking for a non-traditional solution, your traditional doctor is not going to be able to help you. For example, And I've talked to many friends who are doctors and many of my doctors about nutrition. And in all of the years of training, was it 8+ years of medical school, there's one semester on nutrition. And there's a reason for that. They're not nutritionists. They didn't go to school for nutrition. Medical school is not nutrition school. So it's kind of like you don't go to a shoe store to go buy a ball gown. It's the same concept, right? So if you want to help with your nutrition and you don't want medicine to help you, right? Because there are medicines that can help you. I don't agree with it, but that's a different conversation. Then you need to go to someone that specializes in nutrition, whether that's a nutrition coach, whether that's a nutritionist, whether that, whomever that is, that person is. And you know what? They're not going to give you medical advice because they're not trained in medicine. So it's the same concept there. And that's what I realized when I kept going to the doctors saying, my stomach hurts. My gut is killing me. I'm getting sicker and sicker and sicker. Why am I having all these symptoms? And everything stems from your gut. Well, you need to see someone that specializes in gut health, which is a holistic doctor, which is a nutrition coach, which is a nutritionist, somebody that's trained and has studied that and lived it so they can help you. So that's why I don't recommend going to a doctor for nutrition.
But Robyn, you see, doctors in the society we live in today represent a shortcut. All right. Yes. They're just a shortcut to, okay, I have something, an ailment. I go to somebody who's done the 8 years that you're talking about. They might know something that I might not know. Okay. I'm a dad, I'm a mom, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm going to work, I've got soccer practice, I've got dance lessons, all of this has to come in. Where would I then find the time to then look after my health, my energy levels, and everything else that I need to do? You know what I mean? So that will be the argument that anybody would bring to you and say, let me just go to somebody who's got it figured out. Because from what you're saying, you had to discover all of these things. You had to go in and learn all of that stuff. I don't have the time. I don't have the capacity, and I'm afraid to do the wrong thing.
Right. And you've probably tried so many things before and failed. Right? Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone that comes to me, yes. And so many times people follow me and watch me on social media for months. The average is 6 to 8 months before they know, like, and trust me to reach out to me and feel okay with asking for help because they failed so many times before. And I just want to share, like, it's okay. It's normal. And what I do is I compress time, like what you were saying, Prosper, I compress time for you. In 90 days or less, you will feel better. You will be energized. Your health will be on track. And here's the thing, Prosper. Health is wealth. You can't do anything successfully without your health. Right? To your point of what you said, people are, chasing their kids around, they're going to dance classes, they're going to work, all this stuff, it all piles up at some point. And then what happens? They have a heart attack. They don't get the promotion. They think they're dying, but they really just have brain fog because they're stressed, because their cortisol spiked, right? There's so many things that happen in our lives that if we just took a step back and learned and understood the power in the pause, that when we lean in, we're going to feel better. When we lean in, we're going to be energized. When we lean in, we're going to understand that running 10 miles a day is not the answer. It's part of the answer. But when we lift 3 or 4 times a week with that, and we eat properly and fuel our body with the right nutrition for ourselves, and that's different for everybody, we're automatically going to be energized. We're going to sleep better. Our bowel movements are going to be better. And people laugh about that, but it's the truth. When your gut hurts, you got stuff stuck up there and it's painful, right? You're going to get that promotion at work because you're going to be just like so spot on and clear, crystal clear about what your purpose is every single day.
And thank you so much for elaborating on that, because yeah, like you keep repeating, you can't do well if you don't feel well, and that has a ripple effect, and it's a trickle down effect on things of that nature. But this is a personal question to you, Robyn.
Sure.
I don't know how strong your security detail is, because what you're working on or against is industries that are hell-bent on making this happen to society, so much that the pharmaceuticals obviously wanting people to stay on the medication. The nutrition, big food is also trying to make people just eat as little nutrients as possible, so they keep coming back for more, because if you are full, you're not going to want to eat or consume more. So how are you navigating this, considering these people are not taking a day off in trying to advertising their wares?
Yeah, and I believe that everyone has a right to do that, right? Because that's who we are and what we are in society. However, what the doctors and the pharmaceuticals are doing, in my opinion, they're just putting, and I can speak from my personal experience, is that they're just putting a Band-Aid on it. They're not giving you a solution for the root cause. And that's the issue. And the same thing with the food industry. With the supersize this and this and that. And, why are people all overweight? Well, because it's not because of the marketing, although marketing is very effective. It's because people don't have an awareness that something's wrong. And until you have an awareness, there's no way you can ever help yourself. Right? So when people come to me and they talk about stuff and I'm like, okay, this is what we should do, and make a suggestion, and it's not, 9 times out of 10, when we actually get into the deep work, it's nothing they came to me for. It's so much deeper, because their entire life, they've been putting Band-Aids on it, and the doctor's been putting Band-Aids on it, and they've been going through the drive-through, putting a Band-Aid on their gut health and their emotions and how they feel and what's really holding them back, right? And that's where the mindset piece comes in, because it's so important. In order to feel good, in order to be energized, to change your life, you have to have the awareness first, and then you get to change your mindset as a model of positive change. And you will have no lasting change until you change your mindset. And I am proof of that, and all of my hundreds of clients are as well. And they are like wowed when we dive deep into this, because they had no awareness about it. And then I started asking questions, right? Why? And maybe things, a lot of things stem from our childhood. No one wants to talk about it, but we're a product of our childhood. But we get to change and rewrite our adult story if we choose, when we have the awareness.
I think there's a lot of deep stuff that goes on in there, because when you start unraveling all the trauma and everything that did or didn't happen, or what we concluded, because our inner child has a memory that just keeps making us act in ways that we don't understand as adults, So I'm thinking that's what's happening. So you are emphasizing the importance of mindset in the work that you are doing. How is it that you're helping clients shift to then facilitate these lifestyle transformations? Because usually fish don't see the water that they swim in.
Right, 100%. Right? You can't see the frame when you're in it. You can't see the picture, when you're in the frame, Like, it doesn't happen. 100% Prosper. So what happens is I'm able to help people rewire their brains. So when triggers happen from their childhood, their response is different. They're not triggered anymore. And it's a lot of work that has to be done and gets to be done. But when it happens, it's so beautiful, Prosper, because the triggers that people used to have, like, my hands are starting to go now because I'm getting very excited about this topic. A trigger, I'm just giving an example because people like to hear stories and they'll remember this, is that, maybe in your childhood, there was a dominant person in your family that just overspoke you and yelled all the time. You thought it was yelling, but they were just a loud person. And anytime you spoke, they shut you down. They shut you down. So you just stopped talking and you just never gave your opinion to anybody. So in your adult life, when you're at work and someone is a higher level than you and they are talking, you think they're talking at you and shutting you down. But in reality, maybe they're adding value to the conversation. So we get to rewire the programming that when you were a child, maybe that person just had no awareness that you wanted to say something of value. So then when the trigger happens as an adult, you are not triggered by the loudness happens and the person's talking about that is a higher level than you, but you realize, you know what? That's a really good perspective. And now I'm going to add value because what I want to say and have to contribute is of value. So there's a trigger that's able to be switched as we rewire the brain. And it's not as simple as that, right? We do the work behind it, but that is a simple scenario so listeners can understand how it's possible. And what happens from that is infinite. I mean, so many things come from that because your confidence gets increased, right? You become more positive than negative. You perhaps could be more contributive to what you're doing in work because you're using your voice now, because you're not afraid or scared or shied back from people overpowering you, no matter what level they're at. Maybe you have better communication with your spouse. Maybe you are able to listen better because all leaders have to have the ability to listen. I mean, there's infinite possibilities with this, but it's so important, first and foremost, to have the awareness so then we can rewire the trigger from negative to positive.
But Robyn, you don't know where I've been, you don't know what I've been through, and you don't know the life that I've, led up until now. And, I'm just thinking it is what it is. There's no way I'm going to change this. My parents live like this. My sister lives like this. Everybody else around me lives like this. But you're here saying, hey, I can help you regain your energy without any of this, extensive medical interventions or just eating all this food that's actually sucking your energy away. And so you can be there for your kids and have a happier existence. Does this actually work on humans? Or I don't know, are we just...
That was a great question. And yes, it absolutely does. And I have hundreds of clients that are proof of it, and I'm living proof of it. I'm living proof of it. And literally, people remind me every day that what I do is so valuable and what I first and foremost have done for myself, because you can't help others without helping yourself first, right? You got to fill your cup up first. It is possible. It is possible. And what I do is I compress time for people. And I think that's so important, Prosper, because it's not a long drawn out process of years and years and years like it took for me, right? It is 90 days or less. 90 days or less. It takes 30 days to change a habit, 90 days to change your lifestyle. And I'm proof of that it works. And my hundreds of clients are proof of that it works. But the question is, are you ready to work? Are you ready to have it work for you? And that's the question, right? Because there's no point in working with someone if they're not ready. Your time will come, right? Whenever you're ready is perfect timing.
Now, Robyn, with what I'm hearing from you, indulge me here for a little bit. This all sounds like a rite of passage. All right. So looking at how you entered into this realm, you had your diagnostic, and then that presented a life or death situation where you then went on a journey to, find yourself. And maybe you then came across all these lessons that you are now standing at the top of the building and sending the elevator down and saying, hey, you too can go on there. Whereas everybody else is just going through life, punctuated by Netflix seasons or bags of chips, you know what I mean? Without that pattern break or that life altering, like you said, diagnostic. Would you then say the your impact you or the things that you take people through is akin to somewhat of a rite of passage where you are literally shaking people to stop the humdrum of everyday life to then start really focusing on their mindset, their food, their health, and how they actually are responding to the world. I don't know what you take from that.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really good analogy and the way you put that together, Prosper, because yes, I never really thought of it that way, but it is a rite of passage, right? Because you get to choose your destiny, right? You get to choose how you show up every single day. The minute you wake up and put your feet on the floor, you get to choose how your day is going to go. You can choose to have it be sucky and shitty, or you can choose to have it be amazing and beautiful, right? That's always up to you. The choice is always yours. So yes, I agree with what you said. It is a rite of passage. And so many times we don't even realize what's possible because we're stuck in the rut or maybe just stuck in the day-to-day. Like what we said before, you can't see the picture when you're in the frame, right? And sometimes it takes someone else sharing that with you. But I just want listeners to understand, like, think about when you wake up every day, what if? And then finish the sentence. What if? And only one thing, right? Like, what if I choose positivity today? What if I drink more water today? What if I spend less time on my phone watching Netflix today? What if I walk outside for 10 minutes? It could be anything. But notice when you do these things and these actions, what happens to you and how you feel. Because shifting your mindset, Prosper, is all about how you feel. When you don't feel good, it's because when your mindset is not good, you don't feel good, right? When you're negative, when you think the world's like everything is bad and nothing's happening for you, and you wish you could sleep all day, but you got to get up for work. Like everything's awful. Your whole day is awful, which means your whole life is awful, and everybody around you is awful, and negativity. That's what I'm talking about. But when you choose to wake up and be positive, you feel different. So back to what I said, what if I choose positivity today? What if I just like to keep it simple? I'm like, what if I just carried a water bottle around with me and I took 10 sips every hour? Just drink more water. You know what that does for you? Oh my gosh. That increases your energy, increases your brain focus, increases your cardiovascular health. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. Like there's so many benefits. Just drink water. It's so simple, right? But you get to choose what your rite of passage is and how you want to show up in the world and what legacy you are leaving. What legacy are you leaving? Are you okay with getting up and being like mediocre? That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you feel like there's more, there's more. There's so much more. And you could live a completely different life. And I say that because if you met me 15 years ago, let me reintroduce myself. You would never recognize me. And that's the mindset shift. And that's the key to everything and how you feel when you wake up every single morning.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for taking us through that, because so many people just really need that, kick in the behind that would just then get them to actually realize that this is your life and this is not a dress rehearsal. We literally have to, no, I don't know if you've seen, my Netflix only gives me 15 seconds to decide what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how else I'm going to go past that. You've got a podcast, right? Maybe I could shift to
the RobynEngelson podcast. It's a great show. That's so funny. But here's the thing. I do love a good Netflix series. So I'm not going to lie about that. It's got to be really good to keep my attention. And here's the other thing, Prosper, right? I want people to understand, it's like yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's unknown. Today is your gift. So live in the present. That is literally your gift. Live in the present. Be present now right? Get off your phone and talk to your kid, eye-to-eye contact, or your friend, or your neighbor. Say hello. How many times do we walk around places and we're like, head down, look up, look at someone's eyes, and say hello. It's amazing how it makes you feel, but how it makes the other person feel, oh my gosh, it's incredible. It's incredible. I actually did that today. I was at a place, I went for a walk in a different place I don't normally go to, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna say hi to everybody. All the workers, all the people, like, who cares? I live in a tourist area. Most people don't live here. I'm gonna make them feel really good. I felt so good. My energy went from like 10 to 15 in a matter of 5 minutes. But you know how it made them feel? For them to smile, for them not to be stressed out that their kid's not listening to them on vacation, right? For the person who's cleaning out the trash at the garbage can, that someone noticed them. I mean, it's truly amazing. Like, what if I said hello to someone every day? Just imagine the possibilities.
Absolutely. But have you ever, maybe since you're in a tourist town, have you ever just been walking and then just break into dance and then just,
You know, it's funny you say that. So I haven't done that here where I live, but when I used to live in Virginia, I used to be a Zumba instructor, and there was a bunch of us. What's it called? There's a name for it. I can't remember. It's an M. A mosh pit. Anyways, we went into the mall, and like you pretend you're shopping, and then all of a sudden, like the music starts, and we all start dancing, and people start dancing in all different parts of the corners. Oh my gosh! And we got kicked out. It was amazing. It was so much fun. So I have done that.
Absolutely. Now, for me, this is all relatively good, because if we are creating content that is helping others be, do, and have a happier existence, it could help one person, because so many people, if they knew better, they would do better. So maybe what would be the best way that people maybe can start their journey? Maybe that get to know a little bit about what it is that you do, or the things that you can actually help them with. Where can they go on the internet?
Absolutely. So you can go to my website, RobynEngelson.com. That's Robyn with a Y, and Engelson's Engelson. And also, I'm on LinkedIn all the time. I have a great following there, so join me there. And also, you can buy my book, Exhausted to Energize, 90 Days to Your Best Self. And it's a bestseller. It's available on Amazon. You can get it on my website as well. So just go to my website, RobynEngelson.com. And literally, if you read my book, it will change your life. That's it. Like, read my book. And then connect with me on social media, because I want to know who you are, how you're doing, and what resonated with you. And just think about every day. Just remember, what if I purchased a book? What if I did one thing in the book and I took action on it? What if I chose positivity today, right? Just anything. So just choose one thing daily and keep doing that every single day. And I truly, honestly look forward to everyone reaching out to me, because don't be a stranger. Don't be afraid to talk to me. I'm a person just like you, and I was where you were. So I'm a couple of steps ahead of you. So I can definitely walk you through where you're going, excuse me.
Absolutely. Definitely. I'm going to be putting all those links in the show notes so that we can obviously open that channel for people to actually get started with you. Now, Robyn, in the interest of, using your advice, let's just look at what if, right? What if you were not diagnosed with the thyroid autoimmune thing that you have? Would you have been here documenting or speaking as you are today?
That is a great question. And honestly, Prosper, I don't think anyone has ever asked me that. I don't know. My gut tells me I wouldn't be where I am right now, but I wouldn't be where I was, because I took a journey based on my autoimmune diagnosis. But I knew before that, when I was doing advertising, sales, and consulting, that I was destined for more. I was destined for more because I love to public speak. I love to help people. And I knew that I wanted to leave a legacy that was bigger than what I was doing. So I don't know if I'd be where I am, but I would definitely be somewhere else than where I was.
And I'm not sure how you're going to take this. And thank you so much for opening up like that. But I viscerally believe that to whom much is given, much is required. Do you think you were handed this autoimmune disease so that you can now be on this path that you're on?
100%. And I take that with gratitude, because I was destined to be here. 100% destined to be here. And I was destined to figure it out so other people don't have to spend 2.5 years figuring it out, or their entire life. I mean, most people spend their whole life. It only took me 2.5 years, right? So 100%, absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for that. Now, for those that are just maybe listening and they're probably experiencing similar health challenges. I mean, obviously they can't get out of bed right now and just break into dance. But what are the initial steps that you would recommend that somebody just takes towards healing and just energy restoration that would just maybe present as a pattern break so they can also start their journey on their rite of passage?
Absolutely. Great question. And first off, I can show you how to dance and teach you, even if you think you haven't.
We've earned it. We've earned it.
Hit me up on social media or on my website. Absolutely. Because let me tell you, I'm a great teacher. And it's my passion. I love to dance. So even my husband, who literally has zero, when I say zero, it's like negative numbers rhythm, you can get him to move a little bit. So there's hope for anybody out there. But here's the thing. First, I want to address two things I want to answer with your question, Prosper. Autoimmunity is the silent disease. You don't have symptoms visibly, right? So, and I didn't have any symptoms until after I was diagnosed, right? 80% of autoimmune diagnosis are women, and 90% of them are diagnosed after they give childbirth between the ages of 30 and 39. So yes, I'm a statistic, but had I not been through the journey, I wouldn't have known how to help the others who are a statistic that don't know, right? So autoimmunity signs, and I'm going to go through symptoms, and then I'm going to talk about one other thing too. So symptoms are fatigue, weight gain, weight loss, hair loss, itchy skin, flaky skin, nails brittle, nail loss, lethargic, muscle aches, muscle pain, gut issues, if you had any stomach issues, acid reflux, GERD, which I had, which is reflux in your stomach. If you have severe allergies, seasonal or regular, it's immune, which I also have. Those are symptoms of autoimmunity. However, they're also symptoms of so many other illnesses. So that's why they're not diagnosed initially. It's kind of like the last resort. And also with autoimmunity, your primary care, at least here in the States, primary care only tests for one of the 4 parts of your thyroid. And for me, I was misdiagnosed for 10 years because my primary did not test the proper part of my thyroid. Again, going back to the whole medical question. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that specifically, but even if you don't have symptoms, sometimes life happens and trauma induces autoimmunity. Giving birth is trauma, even though we don't think of it that way. It's a beautiful thing, but that's trauma. Trauma you had as a child revisits you as an adult and causes different modalities in your body. Emotional trauma, physical trauma. It could be something at work that caused trauma. Stress is called trauma in the medical field. I'm not a medical practitioner, but in my experience. However, all of those symptoms are also symptoms of so many other things, right? So it's misdiagnosed so many times with autoimmunity and with whatever else you could have, right? So going back to your question, Prosper, I know that's a long answer, but I wanted people to understand where I was coming from in my experience. Even if you don't feel like something's wrong, get your blood work done every year. If you think something might be wrong, go to a specialist, right? And go to the person who is trained in what you are looking for, right? And that's what we talked about previously. And if your gut is hurting, go to the gastro doctor, but also go to a nutrition specialist. I wish I knew that 15 years ago. I had severe stomach issues my entire life. They are fine now. But in the process of taking more medication, it made it worse. So I just want to share with people, if you think something is wrong, you're probably right. Your gut is always right, no pun intended, but maybe it was, right? So just go to the right person to get the right answer you're looking for so you're not misinformed. And you will be okay. Just know that you will be okay because there is hope. I'm standing here, I have a standing desk standing here, sharing with you that it is possible to change your life and thrive and be anything and everything you ever wanted to be, in spite of your illnesses or your health, because you can change.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I can't thank you enough for the time that we spent on the call today. But Robyn, I mean, seeing as not only are you the queen of hip hop, but you're also the queen of reinvention, you've taken us into your world, and now we know that things are quite possible. But now that we're here, where are we headed to? What's next? What can we expect from Robyn?
What's next? Well, now that my best-selling book came out in November of 2024, so recently, I'm going on a speaking tour, so I'm very excited about that. So if you want me in your city, if you want me virtually in your company or personally in your company for workshop, reach out to me. Like, let me know what you're going through, what your company's going through. Because also, when you change your energy and you shift and you make these changes, there's a direct correlation on ROI in your company, in your business, in your life. So I'm excited to just get the message out more, like I'm doing right here with you, Prosper, because like what you said, if we can help one person today, I've done my job.
Absolutely.
Right? That's all it is. So I'm super excited to be on your stage in a city soon.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, for the time that you spent with us sharing your inspiring journey and just the valuable insights that you brought with today. I mean, your story and your experience just remind us that it's never too late to start prioritizing on our health and actually transforming our lives. And it's not a selfish endeavor. You're literally doing it for those around you, because if you are doing well, you're showing up for your kids, you're showing up for your family, you're showing up for those that actually depend on you. And I can just imagine what that's an upside for just about everything that you're engaged in. So you are literally giving people back to themselves, aren't you, Robyn?
I sure am. And thank you for what you just said, Prosper. But yes, I allow you to be you and elevate your life and elevate you and everybody around you. And it's so beautiful.
Absolutely. And for those that are listening, thank you so much. I mean, obviously you did gain quite a lot from this, because we did touch up on a lot more subjects. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with somebody who might benefit from Robyn's experiences, especially somebody who's going through their own health struggles, or they're just not finding, that spark in their life anymore. It could just be one or two things that's leading them to win the race to the bottom. And if somebody has shared this video with you, give them a hug, because they actually care about who you are. And while you're at it, subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show so you do not miss out on any insightful content like this. I encourage you to stay tuned for our next episode, where we're going to be exploring ideas that will help you lead a happier existence. Until next time, bye for now.